trusted and everything?
Yeah, trusted it. Shingles are Saturday. Shingles got them up yesterday.
I wonder if Sarah's. Well, I'm sure she's doing the prayer now. Probably got the agenda right. Oh, good. Okay, I turned in my financial disclosure today. COVID Brewster.
I need to get you
Ready for. No, you saw you have to prepare in the pledge, right?
Okay. Because then it will release you to allow, so we can communicate.
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyway, yeah.
Monday.
Well, they're gonna be critical or anything, but
I know, right?
they do make files, drop them.
So my person is still getting perfectly hesitant. My person?
Zan is coming. Call me about some hamburger.
Okay, he's still getting back with me about Thanksgiving.
I was in Disneyland and I scrambled to try to hopefully some police and fire went
You
down.
should have totally made a commercial about that. You go to
You know
Disneyland.
what? We got up at 2:15. 2:45. 2:45 to head off there.
Seriously?
And we didn't go to bed till probably 11:30. It was Wednesday morning. I got
So
up
you
and
guys
went to
drove down or
Disneyland. We flew,
Oh,
but our plane left at 6. We actually got California at like 7:20 or something like that.
but you spent a full day there.
Oh yeah.
You tried Bellow out of Ogden?
I wish I would have. We flew into LAX and it's like, now I remember why I haven't gone through LAX. What, we went with our grandchildren and they did it all and it was like $120 a person. There's 5 of them to go up there instead of Long Beach or Orange, John Wayne, whatever they're calling it nowadays. So I was like, okay, whatever. We'll do that. Now I remember why I hated it. Oh, okay, it's 6 o'clock. You ready? Is that on? Okay.
Yeah, Mayor, I'm here.
Awesome. Are we recording? Good to go? Welcome, everyone. I'll call to order the regular City Council meeting of the Pleasantview City this November 9th, 2021 at 6 p.m. Again, welcome. Glad to see so many of you here. We have a full agenda. I'd just like to remind the council members to make sure you're speaking to your mic. Little trouble hearing on Zoom. I think last time Kevin was on Zoom and he had a bit of trouble if you weren't talking right into your mic. So for all those that are joining us, make sure you speak into your mic. All right, we'll kick off the evening with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by an opening prayer, reading or expression of thought by Councilmember Uri.
Will the audience please rise and repeat the pledge after me?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we're so grateful to gather together as members of this great community of Pleasantview. We're grateful for the opportunity to serve and represent those who live in the city, to do what is in the best interest, to keep to our laws and ordinances, and to be objective as much as possible. We're so grateful for those who are serving on behalf of our country. We ask you to please bless them and protect them and watch over them as they do their duty to fight for freedoms at home and abroad, especially during this week of Veterans Week and the focus and recognition that we have on those who have served and continue to serve for us. We ask you to please bless our law enforcement, watch over them to be protected and have strength as they serve our community and communities around us. We also ask you to please bless our city staff, our public works department and office, that they may also know that we support them and we are so grateful for the service they render on our behalf. Father, we live in such a great community and we have such a wonderful place to live. Please bless us to recognize the opportunities that we have around us to be kind, to help one another, to serve each other, that we may be united in a great cause to better our livelihoods and our community. And we ask these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, sir. All right, next on the agenda is declaration of conflicts of interest. Does they have any conflicts they need to disclose? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to comments or questions for the mayor and council. Public limited to 3 minutes. Any members of the public wish to address us? Seeing none, we'll move on to minutes of October 12th, 2021.
I don't think I put in your packet. I knew it, 'cause I was looking for it and I
didn't review them, and I'm like,
Okay,
did I miss them
yeah.
somewhere?
Well, and you kind of missed the ascent. It's just kind of free floating out there. I just wanted, I don't know, is that how you usually list it? Just under comments and questions?
Oh, I missed that too.
Okay.
I did it at home.
Okay, no problem. We're not going to do it, so it's not a big deal. All right, we'll move on to business. Laurie has this whole first page done by 7:10 before we move to the backside. So I bet we can, let's see if we can beat that. Okay, first item of business is discussion and possible action to grant an exemption to the home occupation conditions for a business to be conducted outside the primary premise located at 1080 West, 3150 North to the premise located at 3361 North, 850 West for an ultrasonic cavitation procedure business. Requester is Amanda Payne, presenter Laurie.
Okay, Amanda is here. Most of the information is in that description that you just read. She's asking for an exception to the home occupation. Basically, the home is not going to be conducted in her home, but it's going to be conducted at a different home at 3361 North, 850 West. In your packet on your table there's also a permission letter from the homeowner at the place that she's going to conduct her business. We've granted things like this before. She's here if you want to ask her any questions, but it's up to you guys to grant this exception to have it located outside of her home.
Yeah, I got a couple of questions, Amanda. Just first, for the council's benefit, maybe tell us what an ultrasonic cavitation procedure is.
So I'm a registered nurse, and ultrasonic cavitation is basically a machine that I use to trim down women's cell, like their fat cells. It's basically non-invasive liposuction that we can do with our machine without basically a doctor in the home. We have actually a medical director over us for other things, but for this procedure, we don't actually need the medical director with us. So I'm a registered nurse, and I've been certified by the homeowner, which is Allie Coleman, to do it. She runs another business to do that. So I just want to do it in her home. They basically built the home for her to have like the spot upstairs in her home.
Mm-hmm.
So
how many clients at a time? What are we talking about?
Like,
parking?
We're like hardly any because we can only fit one. So we usually don't even have clients together there. And they've built a whole separate area in their driveway. So our clients all know that they have to park in the driveway. And if that's not an option, they know they have to park in front of the home. But really, we don't even usually practice together. We don't have clients there together. So usually like one extra car will be there most of the time.
Great. Any questions from the council?
Is there additional licenses that you have to have?
Yes, I have a license, just my business license. So that's what I'm trying to get is a business license just from the city. And then I'm licensed just through my professional licensing. And then we each carry our own insurance. So it's all insured under the home, but we have license to actually do the procedure and to have that. This is just more, Allie has a business license and I have a business license. So I just wanted to get a business license in her home so I could display it in her home.
Great. Anybody else?
So the question that we
just
had
that
was
one.
that she was operating in another person's home.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the only exemption we're asking for. Okay. Correct. Thank you, Andy. All right, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion. Sorry, I'll make that motion to grant an exception to the home occupation condition for a business to be conducted outside the primary premise located at 1080 West, 3150 North, to the premise located at 3361 North, 850 West for an ultrasonic cavitation procedure business.
Okay, motion by Yuri, second by Bailey. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
That was easy, huh?
All right, item 2, discussion and possible action to consider approval of preliminary subdivision plat to Matthew Meadows subdivision, 14 lots located at 1650 West Highway 89, parcels number 19-014-0054, 19-014-0055, and 19-014-0031. The petitioners, Fred Bolingbrook and Jeff Bolingbrook. Jill, turn it over to you.
Can you hear me?
Thanks. Yep. Yes.
Okay. Yes. So Jeff is out of town. Fred is in the same boat I am. So he wasn't going to be able to make it. For the Matthew Meadows, it's located just off of Highway 89. As you can tell on the screen, it's in between Highway 89 and Pleasantview Drive. This is their layout. Parcel A is the detention pond right here. There is that parcel in between. If you look right here, there's a sliver. They aren't touching that. That is owned by Hemorrhites. So that's not going to be an issue. There's going to be a fence along Highway 89. That's what we require. And we are waiting for a permit approval from UDOT for that entrance. So that's one big piece. If they don't get that, they're going to have to go back to the table to kind of figure out another layout. And this is kind of what it looks like over the parcel, so you guys can kind of see how it's going to turn out. All the lots do meet the requirements. We looked at everything, the lot size, the utilities will be ours. As Bonavista's on the other side, we're working with the developer regarding the water. Right now they're going to be getting an easement, or they have an easement up to Pleasantview Drive so they can connect up there while we are waiting for a different parcel to be developed. So other than that, it does meet our requirements. There are some conditions which is listed in your staff report. But that's all I have.
Okay, those are street light conduit design and installation by the developer, 6-foot solid fence. These are kind of along the no access line and red lines, and one issue is the approval of the entrance from UDOT.
Correct.
Yeah, path along 89.
Yeah. So Jill,
Not because we didn't meet with them. With UDOT, I mean.
a 6-foot fence is going to be put up all the way around it. Is that what I heard?
Along
just
Highway
east
9. That's what
And-
we require.
And are Hemorrhites okay with that? Do we know?
Because we're not touching their parcel, we can't necessarily make sure everyone around them is approved to the subdivision. As long as they meet our requirements, our standards, we have to let them go ahead with it because it does meet the zone and the ordinance. But that's the big thing is Hemorrhites, we're not touching their property. They're still going to have their access. So.
Okay, thanks. I have a question. What is parcel A? What is
It's the detention basin.
is
It
detention?
is the detention pond.
Okay. Any other
Hey.
questions?
I have a question. Can you show me how the road communicates on the south side with the neighboring subdivision, or is there no subdivision there yet?
That is the piece, it's the Dickamore property. That's the piece that we're waiting to see developed, and it will connect Matthew Meadows with Budge Farms, and it will help with the water connection as well.
Okay.
We have been in contacts with the developer that's looking to purchase it and develop it as soon as they can, but until we get an official application, we don't know when that's going to be.
And so Jill, will this same UDOT access. Do you know if that will be the same access to get into that Dickamore and new subdivision? Is that it'll be one access
So,
in?
yes, this
Okay.
will be the access for Matthew Meadows if UDOT allows it. And then as Dickamore property does develop, it'll connect to Budge Farms, so it'll most likely just have one road. If not, there was an interest with another property, it might have a T. I don't know. It all depends on when all these applications come through.
Thanks.
In kind of an indirect answer to that question, Ann, I'm sure that UDOT is going to limit the number of accesses. So
This is awful close to the one for the Budge Farms off, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lane and a house in between them, so I don't, if it's contingent upon UDOT,
yeah, it's up to UDOT. If not, they'll come back with another plan, right? So in the motion, we'll need to make sure we make that contingent.
Correct.
That's one of the conditions on the motion.
Yeah. Any other questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion. Maybe want to take a stab at that?
I'll take a stab at it.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the preliminary subdivision plat for Matthew Meadows subdivision, conditional upon UDOT allowing access as it's currently laid out.
On the other conditions listed in the staff report?
Yeah, and including the staff report conditions.
Okay, that sounds about right, Jill?
Yes,
Okay, do I have a
thank you.
second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Bailey, second by Arrington. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, can figure out what this was. Get caught up here. Okay, item 3, discussion and possible action to consider approval of final subdivision plat and escrow approval to Heart of Pole Patch number 3, 7 lots located at 250 West, 4500 North, parcel number 16-357-0010. Petitioners Aaron Olson and Johnny Ferry. Presenter Jill.
Okay. So here's the location, 4450 North, about 250 West. You guys saw the preliminary come through, I want to say about a month or so ago. And this is the layout. Nothing's changed. They did turn in the application, or they did turn in the escrow agreement. It's posted, it's signed. They have the plat. It should be there ready for signature as well. There is no late taxes. Everything is up to our ordinances. So as staff, we're recommending approval.
Okay, we decided on the sidewalk issue.
Just gonna ask that.
I forgot about that. It was decided to have it up against the curb at 5 feet. All along there. There's enough. There's enough there. Yes, there's enough there that they will have room for it.
And they can have their fence line down to the property or something.
Yeah, they can actually have their fence line right up to the sidewalk, and the 5 feet is to allow the ADA access, but then having it right abutting the curb doesn't require the
doesn't make
maintenance right up
maintenance
next. Mhm.
Got a place to put snow when it's plowed.
Perfect.
Yeah. And there's a lot of snow up there.
Yeah, the property owner was
You guys really
really
want to live up there. There's a lot of
cooperative
snow.
and working through the details.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'll make that motion that we approve the final plat subdivision and the escrow approval of Heart of Pole Patch number 3 and item number 3.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Gibson, second by Uri. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Yes, Laurie, is this just copies, color copies? Okay, I didn't know if that's something you wanted me to sign or, okay, great.
Okay.
Okay.
7B.
Item number 4, discussion and possible action to consider a roadway dedication at 1740 West, 2700 North to Pleasantview City. Petitioner D. Hanson, presenter Jill.
Okay, so this is the property. We've had the commercial pad there in front of Wasatch View Trailer Park or Trailer Community. I apologize. And so they're putting the road off to the side, and let me show you kind of what it's going to look like. So here's 2700. Here's the commercial pad. By having this roadway, they're going to be able to have their entrance over to their commercial building. So it is paved, it is up to city standards, and they are dedicating it to the city, which as as staff, we just made sure that it's up to city standards. Dana's been able to make sure that the plat is correct. And so that is why it's before you now.
Okay, sounds like an easy one. Any further questions?
It's completed now, right? Correct?
The roadway.
The roadway
Road
is.
is complete.
Yes.
His question is, the road is complete? Question mark.
Yes.
I just had a quick question on our industrial roads. We're doing like deeper, like we're making the fill deeper. Is that right? Is this an industrial standard or just a road standard? Do you know?
Dana, do you know for sure? I don't remember that part.
Yes, it is a thicker pavement section,
Okay.
according to Dana.
Good
So that would
planning,
be
Dana.
industrial standard, right?
Mayor, I'll make a motion
More
that we,
Commercial.
Okay, go ahead.
that we adopt this roadway dedication at 1700 West and 2700 North.
Okay,
I'll second the motion.
motion by Gibson, second by Bailey. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed?
Does that dedication go all the way through? I mean, that, or not that dedication, excuse me, the thicker road, is that gonna go all the way up into to make that a circle?
Just the new portion, isn't it?
Well, it depends on,
I mean, as we develop up through that, is that gonna continue to be that standard?
where it heads to the west from there, we don't know. Because
North.
Well,
I think we
north
should
yeah.
commission a transportation study.
But where it does head west and goes behind the buildings,
That's not.
that's far west, so we won't have any control, but hopefully
So
they'll.
it does go down.
Oh, that
So I just want to keep that standard right as we hopefully eventually hook up with the Parkland strip, you know, or that
Yes.
crossover to wherever we're gonna do that.
Oh, can you get on the mic? I'm so sorry, Dana, just for those. on
I'm
Zoom.
sorry, I that's just discussion, not necessarily on this topic, but
I
just.
think you missed my point though on.
I heard that, I chose to.
Oh.
I chose to ignore it. Thank you very much. I want to have this be a quick, good, positive meeting.
Sorry, Steve.
So if you want to go there, we can talk about studies.
So as each parcel develops, we have to design the pavement section based on what we determine the traffic load to
Right.
be and what their soils are able to support. So it'll be a thicker, heavy duty pavement section, but it'll vary.
I just, I mean, we spent so much money on the blue and white part, updating that, and then I just, hopefully all that follows through. Okay.
All right, motion carries. Unanimous. Thank you. Item 5 is a public hearing, discussion and possible action to consider a rezone from a split zone of RE20 residential and A2 agricultural to RE20 residential located at approximately 3453 North, 1000 West, parcel 17-062-0045 and 17-062-0099. Petitioner Stuart Gibby, ordinance 2021-10. I'd entertain a motion to go into a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Bailey, second by Marriott. Do we need a roll call to vote? No. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? We're in a public hearing. Jill.
Okay. So this was one of the properties off, just not that far off of 1000 that does have the split zoning. And unfortunately, Mr. Stu Gibby would like to build a home on it. And with being the split, he doesn't qualify to be able to have a house where he's hoping because it's not 2 acres, which is the A2. Let's see there. As you can tell, a good chunk of it, the south part is A2, the top part is RE20. What we're proposing to you tonight is to have that RE20 go the full property line of his 2 lots. The general plan or the future land use map does show the 2 to 3 units. Sorry, that's a typo. Per acre. So it would fit in within that that general plan, the future land use map. So again, he's just wanting to be able to build a house, and we're trying to clean up our zoning. So as staff, we're recommending approval to pull that RE20 to the full 2 lots, not just half.
All right, but instead of saying, unfortunately, Stuart Gibby wants to build a house, let's say, fortunately, Stuart Gibby wants to build a house, but unfortunately, it's
unfortunate that
going
it
on.
doesn't work right now.
All righty. Questions? Any comments from the public?
I'll make a motion to go out of public hearing.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion by Bailey, second by Marriott. Close the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that, especially since Commissioner Neff made the motion to recommend. Back that up.
Thanks, Ed.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion and a second, and this is ordinance 2021-10, correct? Okay, roll call.
So is it, we're not combining parcels, right? We're just changing the zoning, right?
Changing the
Because
zone.
it has split zoning, I think, on the.
Is if you combine them, it's over 2 acres, right? No.
Yes, if you combine, well, I'd have to look at it closer. If he combined it, depending on what his project would be, it could be under the 2 acres. The zone actually requires a minimum of 2 acres to have that home. So, but he's not combining it, it's just fixing that split zoning. So both lots will be one whole zone.
Okay. So that motion was to approve ordinance 2021-10, correct? Hey, did I already tell you who the motion second was? Okay. All righty.
Roll call.
Roll call vote. Arrington,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Marriott,
Yes.
Fury.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimous. Thank you. All righty, let me skip ahead to the next pile. Which is going to be that one. All right. Item 6 is a public hearing to discuss some possible action to consider an amendment to Pleasantview City's general plan and future land use ordinance for amendments to the east side of the city. Ordinance 2021-11. Entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Uri, second by Bailey. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're in a public hearing. Jill.
If it's okay with you, Mayor, I would like to do the presentation for both item 6, item 7, and item 8 in one shot. So that way it's not repetitive. That way that presentation can be done, even though that they have to have their separate public hearings. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay.
Same time.
With that
And then
being
if you have any questions, we can just ask questions at that time. So that's fine.
You bet. With that being said, here's the general plan and the future land use map. There's 2 items. One for the mixed use east, which would be right here. And then we're fixing the mixed use west over here. The current general plan, the future land use map shows it as general commercial. But if you remember the mixed use west, we did change the ordinance and the location of over it. So that way we can, there we go, accommodate some of the possibilities that could go there. And the mixed use east, we were asked if we could also present this to allow mixed use with the the residential component that we have in the mixed use west that's originally on the west side of the Highway 89 over into this east part. We would recommend that we would also shrink the available area for the mixed use east. So it would stop about 600 west and just be on that south side from 2700 to 2550. We would, by doing this, we would also change the verbiage of the general plan, where if you can see in your packets, sorry, I'm losing my voice. We would change the verbiage within the general plan to 50% to the 75% of residents.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Please mute those that are on.
There we go. So we would change the verbiage from 50% non-residential to the 75 that would be non-residential. That way it works with the ordinance that we just wrote with the 25% residential versus having it kind of open-ended for the mixed use west. So in long story short, we're wanting to propose the change for the general plan, the verbiage for one, two, to have the mixed use portion also flipped over to the mixed use west right here. And also it has been requested for the mixed use east. So that's part is on the general plan and the future land use map. The ordinance.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so I'm just looking at this recommendation and on the staff report, are you proposing it? Because staff recommends, I'm just a little confused.
Well, no, I totally understand. It's what's proposed in front of you. I'm just going to finish going through the ordinance and then I'll kind of explain where the staff sits.
Okay.
Yeah, and then after you do the presentation, we will break it down by item 6, 7,
Okay.
8.
So you're
Yes.
just saying what is being asked, not
Right.
necessarily what's being recommended.
What is on the table right now.
Okay, thank you.
So with that, the request has also been to change the mixed use east ordinance, allowing that residential component in that zone. So those are the three main items that are before you, I should say. But where staff sits with the general plan and the future land use map with mixed use west, we are recommending approval because we've already fixed the zone to allow that area. And I'm just going to be talking about the general plan future land use map. Tyson will be able to ask or answer any utility questions.
Okay, so right now we're back to just item 6,
Yes.
right? Just
Correct. So, but for the mixed use east, which is number 6,
okay.
as staff, we are recommending denial solely on that's not where, or even close to where the mixed use was originally in the general plan.
A planning commission recommendation was denial also.
Correct. And that should be in your staff report along with the meeting minutes.
So can I ask a question? Jill, currently in the mixed use east right now, as the ordinance reads, there is no residential component. It's all strictly commercial, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And that is that's in line with what the general plan and the future land use map is at, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, we're still in public hearing. So any public wish to address item 6, which is general plan future land use ordinance for minutes to the east side of the city. Okay.
Tony Pittman, 1322 West, 3200 North, Pleasantview. Yeah.
Turn your mic
How's that? Better?
Okay. Yes.
I support staff and the Planning Commission's recommendation on this wholeheartedly. Our general plan comes directly from the public. We spent just lots and lots of time coming up with that plan. And this is really our only chance to set this kind of thing. Because once the general plan starts to allow things, then the zoning kind of has to follow. So I recommend we do not do this. I think the current plan is great the way we have it. I also want to mention that from what I understand, there may be a particular project that's pushing for this, and they say they can't do the project very well without this component. If that's the case, that throws a big red flag for me. If it can't stand on its own, I'm not sure it's something we want to be doing. So I stand with the staff and the Planning Commission to not do this.
Anybody else? Any other comments?
Dave Laloli. I live in Plain City, 2273 North, 2825 West. I own the land on 2700 North that's in the mixed use section. We essentially have requested this. And one of the things that I appreciate the comment, the project does stand alone, and that's we are working to secure it and to bolster it up in any way like you would in any development. One thing we really believe in on this corridor is that it can get oversaturated with commercial pretty quick, especially with what we're bringing. We have a fun center that is planning to come, and then we also plan to have along the front of 2700 North fast casual dining and other service-oriented rental, which we are actively filling up those spaces in anticipation of moving this project forward. So the one thing that we looked at was, originally we come in and look for ways to secure a staple tenant. And the one thing that comes with a staple tenant is, an aggressive lease on their part. And so we're looking for ways to make it sure to be able to bring them in, to bring this to Pleasantview City, to be able to attract other really high quality users, high quality fast casual dining, and even potential restaurant style dining, traditional. So what we requested was the same thing they asked in the mixed use west, which we believe is a phenomenal use for the mixed use west, which would apply great here, and I think would be a good product to just ensure that we get the commercial there. I think it's phenomenal. We're going to have so much commercial there. We can't build the residential until we get the commercial done. So it works. In my mind, it's a good win-win situation. I did bring these papers. Is this a good time to hand these out? I just wanted to show an example of kind of how much area you're giving up to the multifamily use. If you look at it, it's quite small compared to what we're going to actually develop, and which I think was a great reason to use the mixed use west, because the city gets what they want with lots of really good commercial. The developer has a really safe product in this residential multifamily product, and it gives us the ability to be aggressive towards bringing in a really high-end user. Fun stuff that we can come in. So the blue area you see on the map, that represents the amount of area you would be giving up towards multifamily. The green area is the area we are actively pushing through right now, and we are anticipating submitting a site plan application in the next week and a half, 2 weeks, to push forward the fun center user. The yellow area is an area we currently have under contract, and it also includes the blue area. We will close on that, assuming we can get this ordinance changed, and we would provide, the blue area would be an area where we put the multifamily, and then the rest of the yellow would be additional commercial. We haven't anticipated what that would be.
So have you calculated based on the 75% Is that where you come up with 70 units?
Correct, yep. It's roughly 14 acres, so, you know, with roads and whatnot, it may come.
But what would that density be? What is the blue square?
Acreage wise, it's roughly 1.5 to 2 acres of area, of land area. So
You're gonna fit 70 units in there?
it would be, yeah, three-story walk-ups. So it was approximate.
Okay, parking.
We will have
For those-
cross-access agreements along the entire both projects, but we would obviously need to follow to make sure we met all the city standards for parking.
Okay. Any questions, Dave?
You want to ask it in the public hearing, or should we close that?
No, if you have any questions for him during the public hearing that he can answer, but if not, I got a question for Tyson concerning infrastructure. In the staff report or in the minutes from the planning commission, it talked about some problems with providing water for that many homes down there, that many
Units.
units. That's a good one. Units. So I guess my question is, where do we stand on water down there? That's a big issue right now. So
Absolutely. No, and so like I don't know how much of that was misunderstood, or that it's more to do with your planning, your studies, your capital facilities plan. Not so much that you can't provide the water, you know, if this went in the next year or so, but what that does to the rest of your plan, everything's built off of your general plan, our capital facilities plans for infrastructure. Do you build a tank in 5 years, or do you build it in 10? When you change and alter that single piece of the general plan, it has that chain reaction to the rest of them.
So does that, so if in the general plan, the density was not initially anticipated and our studies were based off of the general plan, if we amended that and allowed that density, those other plans would have to be redone to reflect that, and if I understand you correctly, would speed up a lot of the projects that are based on density.
Yes.
And so.
So 70 units, you're talking a couple subdivisions, several fields, you know, and you're going to condense that, build it all in one, and just the needs of your water system, that obviously being the bigger one, but it affects the others as well. They're all part of that general plan. That's what every department's plan is built off of. Capital facilities, IFP,
Stormwater.
impact fees. I'm sure
Okay.
they're in there. So it's not just that one change that's happening.
all right, thank you. Any questions?
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we go out of public hearing.
Okay. Oh, yep. Sure, come on. I was going to say I need to make sure I call. No, that's.
Ryan Wicknick. I'm from Layton, my address, and I'm a commercial real estate agent that specializes in retail. I've been doing it for 15 years, specifically restaurant and entertainment. I've been working with Dave Woolley and his team on this project and bringing restaurants and retailers to the site. There's a big push for density when you're trying to pull in restaurants and entertainment. They want to see people on site. They want density surrounding, but if you can actually bring units on property or nearby, it really helps. I mean, we're trying to sell Pleasantview as a place to grow to. There's a lot of excitement in the fact that there could potentially be units on site. They just want to know that there's going to be bodies that people can eat, right? And so the more density you have, especially on-site at a project, the more successful these restaurants, entertainment businesses feel that they're going to be. So I would just, and you're starting to see it all over the Wasatch Front, higher density projects. We've got several on Layton right now. We've got 5-story units, and we're fitting 300 units on 5 acres. I mean, and doing a big, anyway, we're doing a big restaurant complex there. And there's just a lot going on. It's exciting to these restaurant groups and something that they're looking for because they're wanting to migrate to other places.
Okay, thank you. Any other members of the public wish to address this topic? Okay, Dave, now I'll take your motion.
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we go out of public hearing.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion by Marriott, second by Yuri to close the public hearing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All righty, discussion amongst the Steve.
I'd like to make a comment to the reeler that just came in. I'm not questioning what you just said because I don't know, but it makes sense to me. 70 units to support a thing like that, I wouldn't think that that'd make a big difference. You know, we're wanting the whole Pleasantview, North Ogden, Far West to come to this place to have it based on that. And you don't have to comment, but it just that seems like a stretch to me to come up and state that. That just didn't ring true for that particular area. So we're going to have a lot of people coming, and the problem that I have, we're drawing a line east-west. You know, we've kind of the general plan. We kind of made a line, and 89 is that line, and where do we stop? I've said all along, I can't support this ultra low density stuff. I didn't move to Pleasantview for that. Or excuse me, ultra high density. I'm sorry. Ultra high.
You did move to Pleasantview for the ultra low.
Yeah, sorry. I take that back. You know, patio homes, I push for that. I think that's a good fit. A lot of the older people don't want to take care of yards, but these high level things that are going in everywhere, I really think in another 10, 15 years, that's going to be a problem for us. We already see that in another area of our city, right very close to where we're looking at. It's very high police activity with a lot of different things. And I don't want to put that out to make any judgment calls on people or income or anything like that. But I want to protect what we have in Pleasantview that I moved here for, that a lot of people moved here for what we have. And I think if we start allowing these big things, and you go Layton and Ogden and every little patch of dirt in some of these cities are these 4 or 5 story apartment complexes that are nice now, and it's filling a need. But man, I think that it's going to be problematic down the road. And we've already had this master plan, or our plan, and I just think we need to. We've made that line, and I think we need to stick with it, honestly. And again, 70 units, 6 stories, 5 stories. If that's going to make or break this thing, then the restaurants they're not going to, they're going to be drawing on a much wider circle than that. Yeah. And to have the state that's where restaurants are looking for that apartment complex to come here, then I just don't think they're going to succeed if that's really the case. And that's all I'm saying. That's just my opinion. That's my observation from that. So.
Fair thought.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a good income for the property owner. I get that. I mean, it's a nice piece. Anyway, we're doing. I apologize. We're not in public comment.
Dave?
Yeah. So my thought there is we really don't have that much commercial area. And I think that area can be filled up with commercial and will at some point. The density in this area is gradually getting to a point that everybody's looking for it for commercial. And I don't think I want to cave to that right now. I just don't feel like we've held it there for commercial, and I don't think it needs residential for it.
Sarah?
I agree with Dave and Steve that we spent a lot of time to finally rezone that entire strip to commercial, and we have very limited places to have commercial in our city. And we've held out this long, and yes, we do need commercial, but we have, a company that's come in without any sort of residential component that's setting up shop on 2700, and it's going to work out just fine for them. So I'm not sure why that, we really need to preserve our corridor. 2,700 is for our commercial. And I truly believe with all the surrounding areas that with all this density that's popping up that everybody's already mentioned, the density is popping up. And I know how it works as well as real estate agents do, where you have your dot and you go out a certain amount of radius, the density's there. We don't need to add to it already any more than we do. And we don't have the infrastructure to support that with the roads and our police department and our staffing and everything else to support that kind of density increasing on 2,700 in Pleasantview.
Anybody else? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Mayor, I will make that motion on item number 6 to consider an amendment to Pleasantview City General Plan and Future Land Use Map to deny the amendment to the General Plan and Future Land Use Map to the east side of the city, Ordinance 2021-11.
Okay. Motion to deny. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Based on staff's recommendations to deny amending the general plan and future land use map. Is that better? Sorry.
And the planning commission.
And planning commission's recommendation.
You okay with that second, Ann?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Yeah, motion by Yuri, second by Arrington. All in favor, say aye.
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 I assume we don't need a roll call because we're not doing the ordinance, correct? Okay. Item 7 is a public hearing. Discussion of possible action to consider an amendment to Pleasantview City's general plan and future land use ordinance for amendments to the west side of the city, Ordinance 2021-12. Okay, Jill, if you just cover the planning commission part of that, that'd be great.
The planning commission recommended approval, as it is on the west side of Highway 89, and it's very close to where the general plan showed that originally. It's just on the other side of 2,700. So as
And what would be provided by Buena Vista at that point? Okay.
correct. So
All right.
city staff recommends approval, and planning commission also recommended approval.
Okay, great. Any discussion from the public on this?
We open a public hearing?
Oh,
We're
it
not?
is a public. Oh, we never closed the, oh, yes, we did.
We're
All
gonna
right.
do 3 public hearings, sorry.
I'll
for
make
the-
a motion, Mayor, that we open a public hearing for item number 7.
All right.
Second the motion.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're in the public hearing then now. Any members of the public wish to address this? Any members of the public wish to address this? Seeing.
That's
Oh,
what
that
we-
was
that
already
last one.
done.
That was the last one.
That was already done. Wasn't this already done for the west side?
Jill, can you clarify?
Would you come up to the mic and ask that question, Tony? Thank you.
I think that was already done.
Tony Pittman, just clarification. So this is what exactly is the change to the west zoning?
Yes, so it's the west side. Let me show you where it's at again. Because that was a lot of discussion before. So
What was the
it's to
density?
this little piece. It is, we've already updated the ordinance to allow the 25% versus the 75% commercial. So depending on how big the project will be, depends on how many units they'll have. So this is where the original mixed use was in the general plan. So it's just flopping it over to this little portion.
Okay, so we're adding that section to the mixed use. Okay.
Yes, just that small, well, it's not small, but it's a portion, yes.
And we've already approved the
Ordinance and how that breaks out.
So it's just adding.
Now we're just fixing the general plan and the future land use map.
So that section was not part of the mixed use west previously.
It wasn't zoned.
It wasn't available to be part of it. So a lot of those zones have specific layouts of where we would allow this zone to possibly be. So we added that portion into the mixed use west, and we clarified what amounts of residential versus commercial, and then what everything would look like with, and also adding the development agreement that would be required.
Okay.
Mayor, if there's no other public, I'll make a motion to go out of a public hearing.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Gibson, second by Marriott.
If there are no other, I apologize.
Any other public? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're out of the public hearing. Any questions or, go ahead, Steve.
Again, I feel bad that it is a line that was made, and I think that's where we are. We've always had that west side being that area, and it's, the west side, the other side of the tracks. It's just, but that is, well, now it is. We're moving now, but we're separated by a road. But that is unfortunate that we have made that line. But anyway,
well, there's a couple reasons. One is our infrastructure, or water, and that, and the other side is provided by.
But it is areas,
Yeah.
and it is areas, and it's
Yeah.
And if we allow it to go in creep
everywhere,
then we're in trouble. And I think we need to stick with that. And it's unfair for some and fair for others, but I think it's a good idea to probably stick with it. So anyway,
Is that a motion?
I'll make that motion. That we approve item number 7.
2021-12.
21-12.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion by Gibson, second by Bailey to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sorry,
Aye.
So it is an ordinance this time. Arrington,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Yuri,
Yes.
Marriott,
Yes.
and Gibson. The motion carries. Okay, thank you. Item number 8, public hearing. Go figure. Discussion and possible action to consider amendments to the mixed-use east zone in Chapter 20-40 to add a residential component and change the boundary. Ordinance 2021-13.
And Jill, can you clarify whether or not this is needful because the change to the general plan didn't occur?
Right, that's what I was just going to ask.
Because the other one did not occur, this can actually just be done
Goes
with.
away.
Yes.
Okay, we'll just strike that from the agenda and move on to item 9. Anybody opposed to that? All right. Item 9 is discussion and possible action to consider a resolution establishing an intent to modify city recreational offerings by expanding pickleball courts at Pleasantview Park. Resolution 2021-J. Amy.
Okay. So, as you all, I'm sure recall, a few months back on September 14th, the Pleasantview Pickleball Association came before you and presented a petition and request to add some additional pickleball courts at Pleasantview Park. And as part of that, there wasn't any strong opposition to moving forward with working with the pickleball association to explore those options. But we're kind of getting to a point now where it would be nice to have some type of formal approval or denial from the city council to determine the path forward for city staff. And so this resolution before you this evening would actually solidify seeking forward with expanding those pickleball courts with the possibility of adding 8 additional courts. And that is contingent on a couple of things. One of them is securing the funding available for the project. And the second thing being ensuring that all of the recreational offerings that would need to be relocated could be successfully relocated. And so those are the 2 big contingencies. The other part of this that is included is having some funding available, and there's a budget amendment that is associated with this, but $5,000 of funding for the engineering and basically planning and prep for the pickleball courts. And so if
This is not for the engineering of the courts itself, but the site to make sure that.
Exactly. Thank you. Yes, of the site. And as part of that, if this is moved forward, the intent is to pursue ramp funding. And so I know the Pleasantview Pickleball Association, sorry, it's kind of a tongue twister. I don't know why.
Just
PVPA, thank you, is aggressively fundraising at this time, really working very hard to try to get the funds, to try to get some matching funds, and then a ramp application would be due at the very first of next year. And so that's part of why this is before you. And so if this resolution is approved to basically approve the city's pursuit of these additional courts, the next step would be some type of partnership agreement with the PVPA that would come back before this body, establishing roles and responsibilities and how that will kind of play out. And then we'd actually be able to get something, again, engineered on the site, not the actual engineering of the courts, available to this group. And the amount isn't a locked-in amount, but it's an up to $5,000 type of thing to pursue those efforts, and then get that application in by the end of the year.
Steve. I do have and I talked to Ann about this, a friend that has volunteered to do all the electrical engineering for this project. And I'm wondering if we could have some volunteer to have some engineering done for that, or are we going to be locked into?
So we actually did have the PVPA had some concept engineering done that was donated, and I think that the lighting engineering we could look at having donated as well. This is to get us something, and honestly working with our city engineering staff to look at our sewer, water, just different things and how they're affected on the site.
Just site.
Right. Because
so he could still volunteer.
I understand engineering, and Dana and I, we've had battles for 8 years. But we're putting a pickleball court in. I know we need to get it level and stable and have it last there forever. But
I think moving forward, the idea is to, as we go out for an RFP, help me out, and that we would look at donations that,
what sewer are we going to have problems with the sewer for?
Well, it's not the issue. It's, if there's lines that are running underneath where we're going to be putting those in, then we need to relocate some of those things.
All right, well.
Yeah, I agree with Steve.
I'm all for it, but we're
as much as we can have done by association.
I mean, we are in a park where we're going to go down, make sure we have a good base. We need to have those things done. We need to have the cement tied together. There are companies out there right now, and we had a big battle when we built the original one. Those courts come engineered when you
absolutely
do it.
Yeah.
Just for concept.
I understand, but as we go forward, I don't want to make this a huge lemon like we've created in some other things. And I appreciate this group doing it, and I think we need to support them as much as we can, because they're going out and doing a wonderful job, and I support that. I want to do everything we can. I just don't want to turn it into a bureaucratic nightmare. But doing the due diligence of the city, I appreciate that. But
yeah, that's kind of why we wanted this resolution, is to kind of outline to the committee and that, yeah, we're on board, but we're only on board to support you, not.
And I see it. I mean, hopefully they're not going to. It's not going to be their pickleball course. They're going to help do it, and then at some point
it'll become a city asset. And part of it too. I mean, we as city staff, and I will be completely frank, we've been a little bit, without some type of formal action from the council, like, okay, we want to support the PPPA and we want to support the council members involved in that, but we've been a little bit dancing a fine line. Like, they're like, hey, can we advertise in your newsletter? Can we do that? Because they're working so hard to fundraise. And without this approval, we just don't feel like there's much we can do.
But that's when it gets in the way. And that's a big issue for me.
Well, we're not trying to get in the way. We're trying to help.
But we get in the way of some of this stuff. And it happens all the time. I mean, I can have examples of us building Shady Lane restrooms. We kind of took some of the stuff away, and we have a really good product that was half the cost. Because we didn't and I just don't want to let us get into that. That's the only thing I'm saying.
That's a very
good
caution to understand.
A good working relationship, let them do it, build it to city standards. I understand we have to do that. We can't have just, pour some concrete and have that be.
I think that's exactly the goal of this. Okay. This is just to establish the relationship of who's doing what, moving forward, that the city's on board, we're partnering.
Well, and this doesn't establish that relationship just quite yet. It's a first step to say to the city.
Yes.
So if PVPA calls us and says, hey, can we put up these signs on our court? And that's why Ann sent out that email, because I'm like, I don't know. I think that the council's on board, but we haven't had anything officially occur yet. And the other part too, we need city support in order to apply for those ramp funds. That is something that is critical. Yes. And this provides that support.
So why don't we do the $5,000? I mean, where's the $5,000 up to that?
Up to $5,000.
That's our support that we're gonna.
That's our initial kind of some seed money to help them. So here's.
No, I know.
I mean, they've asked. They don't have infrastructure and all of it, so they've asked for help with some printing costs. So right now, we've been like, oh, are we allowed to print? We don't know. We haven't gotten full support. So it's really just some seed money. And frankly, there may be a request later for some actual city funds to go toward this. So maybe there's some city funds that go to this, and then the PVPA fundraise funds, and then the ramp funds.
It's
It's just something to work with.
Because
Mhm.
if, you know, so that we have an established relationship. Because if.
Anne, you had
Yeah.
something?
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, I just want to make a comment. So the PVPA, I think their intention is just to hand over a city asset to beautify and make Pleasantview a spot where people can come play pickleball and even a tournament type fashion. And they're just pickleball enthusiasts and they're ready to go. They want to go, but they need official approval that we're going to put these at this site before they start investing in landscape plans and people to come volunteer and that kind of thing. And so I guess what we're asking tonight is for the council to approve that we can go forward with these pickleball courts so that we don't, we can let go of the reins and let them go get the funding and the volunteer hours and the, all that stuff that they're looking for. In the end, they'll turn the courts over to the city and they're ours to own and enjoy and all that. So.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we had a meeting, staff, with Recreation to talk about, if you'll notice the last kind of paragraph on the resolution, this resolution is also contingent on the successful ability to relocate all existing recreational offerings impacted by this change. So they're exploring that. We haven't finalized that, but that's why it's conditioned on that.
Well, and the main thing is too, we didn't want to have you all approve this and then we move full steam ahead, and then suddenly the softball, baseball community's here saying, "What are you doing with our, with our field?" And it's like, well, no, we're working on accommodations, and that's what some of that cost might go to with that $5,000 as well, Steve, because we're going to try to restore one of the fields over at Shady Lane to help. I mean, we're going to have to move some programming around a little bit as well.
Well, that's an old rotten. I mean, that's just a field you go have a pickup game on. That I don't think
People
that's.
use it.
Well, compared to the bottom.
Scheduled.
No, it wouldn't affect the upper field. This is just the bottom.
The lower field.
Anyway, I hear what you're saying, and I agree, and I will make a motion that we enter into this agreement because I'm all for this public-private
Partnership.
but we need more of this and not let us get in the way. That's the only thing that I wanted to take out of this. So, Larry, when you make your agenda, to make it simple, I want to make sure that we support them. And I get what you say from staff. Somebody comes in and then we get overwhelmed. But I'm for this. I don't know the rest of the council.
Well, and that's just where we just want the formal vote. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we approve this resolution 2021 J. Is that it?
J.
And I will second Steve's motion for this resolution 21-8.
Go forward with just a wonderful thing and allow these residents to do what they can with.
Yeah. And they've been amazing. So, I mean, they've
they
been
are.
at all of these events and really hitting the ground hard. It's been
I don't
awesome
want
to
to
watch.
put any finger or thumb on these guys because they are on fire and going to do a great job.
Great insights.
Yeah.
So I do have
It's
a
on the
question.
agenda, though.
Sorry, I didn't put a J at the top of it.
Oh, this one has a J on the
Well,
agenda.
the agenda has J, but I didn't put it on the
dash J?
resolution.
Yeah.
No, it is J.
Okay,
I
did
just
say dash J.
I left a blank. I'm sorry.
Motion by
That's-
Gibson, second by Uri. Any further discussion?
Yeah, so is there going to be a future vote for this? I mean, obviously there's a lot of work that has to be done to be prepared for this. This is basically to look at.
This is the first step vote to say we're interested in this if we can make it pencil financially and successfully relocate those recreational offerings.
Okay.
So it's not a promise, but it's saying if we can get those things in place, then we're full steam ahead.
Yeah, I'm definitely not against it, but I just was curious if that's where we're at.
Good question. Thank you. Is this a roll call? Okay. Harrington.
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Uri?
Yes.
Marriott?
Yes.
Gibson. Okay, motion carries. Item 10, discussion and possible action to approve an auditing engagement agreement with Child Richards CPA and advisors for the 2021 fiscal year. Laurie.
This is just our annual audit. They are going to do a single audit for us because of the CARES Act. And they have quoted us about $44,335 in this agreement. And also our normal audit is going to be up to maybe 12,650. In the past, it's been 9,500, but our contract is expired with them, and so they are just doing this because they have always done it for us, but we are going to go out to bid next year.
Yeah. So we will be bidding for a new auditor or whatever, an auditor, not necessarily new if they come in.
Is that on a multi-year deal? Don't we do a?
We did it for 5 years last time, and then, yeah.
Can you clarify those costs again? So we normally pay around 9,000.
No, well, our contract within the last
Or 5 years.
No, it's 9,500.
Okay.
They've had that for every year. So we've really got a good deal with them.
Okay.
'Cause when the bids came in like 8 years ago, some of the contractors then were like 12,000. So they've helped us. I think they looked at it and realized that we were out of the contract period. This is really what the cost probably really would be.
Yeah.
But then we have to add that.
Which is 12,650.
Single audit is $4,375.
And we did look into the single audit costs. We did try to get some bids from other groups because it felt a little high. Laurie actually sat down and met with them, and it is pretty involved. They go kind of line item by line item. So that's kind of an unexpected consequence of getting those federal funds prior. And so now with the ARPA funds, we'll be keeping that in mind, and we can actually build that into the funds received from the federal government in the future. Because that was from the CARES Act funds. And because we got more than $750,000, even though we gave most of it to the county, it requires that single line audit.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve an auditing engagement agreement with Child Richards CPAs and Advisors for the 2021 fiscal year budget or audit.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion by Bailey, second by Marriott. Any further discussion?
We can't just say, well, let's just continue with the 9,500. Have we asked?
Nice try.
I think they've given us a deal. Even 2 years that we've been out of contract.
But have we asked? Have we just said,
9,500 and some pie.
We've been on for 5 years. You can't just do that for this coming year?
They did it for 5 plus a couple extra.
For 7 years.
Without even-
That's okay. But they did
They
it.
got a deal, I think.
Never get what you don't ask for.
We if we don't ask, we don't get it.
I think what happened is this single audit came up, and then they realized too that it was that
How low it was.
Yeah, just like. So I think it was their cost.
I think they are too.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 11, discussion on possible action to approve a new job position of a full-time animal control / Encode enforcement officer. Amy.
Okay. So before you this evening is an item for consideration, and this is a little bit of an organizational shift and change. And so we've had significant struggles with having time to proactively or even reactively do our code enforcement. That's something that's been tacked onto Jill's responsibilities since I've been here and even longer. And got to get a lot of questions with regards to that. In talking with the chief a little bit, he was very kind and willing to take on the animal, or excuse me, not the animal, the code services side of things. And in looking at this, looking to make this some type of full-time position. Part of the reasons why we were interested in moving this over to police from where it is existing, first of all, capacity is a big thing. There's been a lot of building, there's been a lot of planning items going on right now. And Jill really just doesn't have the capacity on her plate. But additionally, there are some safety concerns and challenges with code enforcement being on the administration side of things. And there's been evidence of that with some instances that have actually happened in the state. A few years back, there was a code enforcement officer in West Valley that was killed, unfortunately, and was uniformed. But we felt that having somebody in a uniform, not a full police uniform, but a softer uniform, going out and doing the code enforcement would strengthen our ability to enforce, but then also having some radio connectivity with the police, giving some additional security. There have been a few instances where Jill has requested police presence to go out and help enforce. And again, I mean, Jill, she does a great job, but she's, professionally dressed, and it doesn't always come across as it would maybe if she was in a uniformed type position. And just looking, there's a lot of combined things that go on with animal and with regular code enforcement, and so there's kind of a nice complementary thing with that. So if this is something that the council has interest in doing, there is obviously an increase to the budget that this would include. And so in total, with the positions and full-time includes the benefits, so it's quite a bit more. Annually, it would look at 68,222 more, a difference in that. And then we would look at a January 1st start time. And so that would actually, oh shoot, it didn't print, but be half of that. So 37,200. Thank you, Larry. I was having issues with the printer. It was a battle actually, but I made it. So that's what's before you this evening for your consideration. And, obviously we're looking at alleviating some of the burden on administrative staff, on some of the staffing in general. And we're working on some other creative solutions with staffing at this time as well. Appreciate the mayor's help in some of that too. But wanted to bring this proposal for you for your consideration. We've spoken with existing staff, and there have not been any concerns raised with this adjustment and approach. So I don't know if there's any questions for me. I'd be happy to address them.
So is this a job that will be posted and filled, or will someone that's a current employee just move up into that position?
Want me to address that?
Sure.
Our current part-time animal control officer, Barbara Pledger, is retiring December 30th. So we thought this would fall in line with that retirement if we could move forward with a full-time position that covered both. And we've been willing to take it on the police department side. Keeping in mind, this will not be a law enforcement position. It'll be a civilian code enforcement. I don't really want to mix the two where a policeman shows up to tell you to cut your lawn.
Absolutely not. Yeah. And the other thing too, and I don't know how much we've discussed this, but I really would like the title to be Animal and Code Services. And so it's not really as much focused on the enforcement angle, although that will be a major part. But also if there's questions that people have about the code, this individual is somebody that they could call and get information from, because again, a lot of that falls on Jill's shoulders at this time.
I've looked into some other cities, and her title sounds very, very good. Other cities have had community services and this type of thing. So, we can sit down and look at some options and see what fits and what we want to do.
Okay. Steve?
We've been very weak in enforcing this forever. When I first came in, we wrote an ordinance that listed, the nuisance and the different things, and it just never goes anywhere. And if we do decide to get this person in, we need to have some teeth. First thing, second thing, third, and it just never goes anywhere. People just kind of laugh at it and say, well, okay, I've got to notice that the weeds are bad or something. But we have a community here, and I think some of that, the animal services, is to make. Chief and I talked a little bit about cats the other day.
Don't even
having an issue with cats. So there is some things we need to talk about with the cats.
And we do actually. I will give Barb our animal services.
So animal services, but it is there, and the nuisance and the ordinance, they need to be addressed so that we can have. So anyway, if we decide to do that, we have to go on the next step and actually have some teeth or have something. And I don't want someone to get shot, and I don't want an officer coming up and say, your lawn's too long or
right.
too many cars or something. But and I don't know where that needs to go, whether that's just the direction of staff and the chief.
Well, I think we have to kind of shoulder part of the responsibility ourselves, because we've overloaded a planner with that responsibility.
But the ordinances are there.
Understood.
All those things are there. Just nobody follows them. And it's always been well, let's just do it, let's do it.
Well, Jill has done a great job sending out letters and trying to follow up, but
Right.
it's a secondary duty.
So
and
if this
try,
position goes, is that going to be something where that actually
I
functions?
fully expect
that's
that
that's
there
my
will be
question.
an increase in that service.
If we go to $60,000 a full-time person, adding that, I want to see some result.
Absolutely. No,
You know,
I would like to
and
as well.
have a stewardship there that they have to follow up on. And if that's the chief, if he wants to accept that, or if that's you, I don't know who that is.
Well,
It'll
be that individual's job, right? I mean,
Well,
that's their job.
That's their job.
So-
But
we can shepherd and make sure that happens. That's the full intent. That's a big reason why I want to do this. And again, Jill's done an exceptional job with what she's had, but she's doing 4 different jobs right now, and that one's.
I agree with that, and I'm supportive of taking that off her plate. And I know we're a bigger city, but it's just we've had this over the last few years, and just
Since Steve's supportive of taking that off her plate, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the new job position of a full-time animal control / code enforcement officer.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
So I'm still a little confused on this. So we have a part-time animal control right now, right?
Till December.
So until December. So this really is a half a position.
Yes.
Addition, correct.
It's a half a
And
position addition.
A little bit
but an
even more
annual-
because it's full-time adds benefits.
Right.
It'll include benefits.
Okay, so this 37,000 though is
That covers
that's
the
an
fiscal year.
annual salary. That's half of the
The half of the annual salary. So sorry for the confusion. That extends until July 1. So that's why it's built from January 1st to July 1st.
Yeah.
So then, but really the position pays 68,000.
Only an extra 68.
That's
An extra on top
Every
of the.
annually, yes. So it's
No,
60
but it's only on top of what our animal control officer was.
is currently,
What
yes.
is- Do you mind me asking what that current position pays?
So
as a
the
part-time
total
position?
cost for the position, with all of the different equipment, Laurie did, a really nice job breaking this down, but it's about 35,738.
Currently.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we're
And so
basically
then
double that.
the shift will be with benefits, and Laurie's actually added in some training, education, and a bulletproof vest and the radio as well. We'd be looking at $103,960.
But a good chunk of that is
the benefits,
and
correct?
stuff, not
Correct.
salary.
Correct.
I have a question. So is this person gonna who do they answer to? Are they answering to the chief of police? They're answering to us as a council? Who are they reporting to?
To the police of, or to the police of the chief, to the chief of police.
They're going to get
Okay,
a
and
piece of children's.
And is
I do appreciate the chief taking us on. Code enforcement's a tricky debt.
So
animal.
is the salary falling underneath that police budget as well, or just half of the salary, or how's that working?
The entirety of the salary. So the entirety of the responsibilities will shift to the police department for code services.
Will we have that in our budget next budget session to?
So I spoke with Laurie about it, and she felt confident. Again, I mean, we're kind of, that rainy day fund portion, we'd be eating into that a little bit, but she felt confident that it wouldn't take too big of a hit on that. And
It's the next line item.
Oh, well.
Yeah, so I have another question too. So I kind of did piggyback on what Steve said, but we haven't had a lot of teeth in enforcing this in the past, but I think that lies on the council to back up this.
Yes.
There's a lot out there that we've put all these standards in place over the years, but a lot of them never complied in the first place. And we've been, a farm city growing into a city, and there's stuff that we're going to have to make some tough decisions on, right? And hold people accountable to that. So that's, if we're going to do it, if we're going to enforce the code, which we have all these codes and we want to follow them, we got to hold to it ourselves. And that might be tough sometimes. There's going to be a lot of pushback in certain areas, and we've seen that in the last few weeks or a few months. So.
Always be. Yeah, always will be. I had a motion by Bailey. Did you second it, sir?
I did.
And a second by Yuri. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Why do I feel like I just got on the bomb disposal unit?
Item 12 was a public hearing, discussion and possible action to amend the budget for the 2021 fiscal year for engineering fees to review expanding pickleball courts, a full-time animal control code enforcement officer, and auditing services resolution 2021-K. It should be pretty quick because we just covered every single one of those items.
Laurie has a
Motion
3-hour
to-
presentation.
We just make a motion.
Yeah, need a motion to go into public hearing first.
I'll make a motion to go on public hearing.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion by Bailey, second by Marion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, we're in a public hearing. Do you wish to say anything further, or?
Well, basically, it's just not one budget. We're gonna add 5,000 for pickleball courts for the engineering plan. 3,150 for additional auditing services from what we already have in the budget, and then 37,200 for the full-time police officer to start January to June,
Not police officer.
or full-time animal
Control, okay.
So 40,000.
It's services.
Right now, well, for purposes of this resolution, it's animal control / code enforcement officer, but we'll work on that title. Okay, any discussion, any comments from the public?
Hello, I'm Derek Draper, live on 400 West. I just got a question on the code enforcement. You're saying it's a 60,000 roughly, right? Where does the money from the current code enforcement go? Is that being sucked into this stuff?
So right now, it's just part of the planner one job. We don't even have.
That's what I mean. So if you're paying 20
Mhm.
grand, let's say, right now, you're asking for an additional 60. Where did the 20 go? Into the 60? Or does
No,
somebody-
this has just been an add-on duty because we had no place to put it. That's been the whole problem.
Oh,
She wasn't paid extra to be the
She's
code
just in
enforcement.
Yeah. All right.
Good question, though.
It's basically relieving an overstaffed person or overworked
Very much
staff
so.
person.
No, with the animal control person, though. She
Yeah.
gets money, right? She
Yeah, that will go
That's-
toward this.
So that's in police right now. Mhm.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Like, I
Yeah,
understand
sorry,
the
no.
code enforcement from Jill. I understand that part. The animal control, you said that it was part-time, right?
Mhm.
That's what I'm asking is that money that they're currently making right now, where does that go?
That'll go toward the
It'll go
position.
towards this.
Like,
Mhm.
that's all I'm asking.
No, good question.
Good clarification, thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any questions of the council? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2021K.
A second.
Motion by Bailey, second by Arrington. Roll call vote. Arrington.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Gibson. Marriott.
Yes.
Yuri.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 13. Present the stormwater management plan. Dana and Tyson. You guys are just sadistic. I mean, don't say that out loud.
Yes, you did.
So we did take the training out of today's meeting because we saw how long the agenda was. But so this is, I guess this item is just kind of present you the revised stormwater management plan. You should have a copy of it. This is a requirement under the state of Utah to discharge to the waters of the state, which your stormwater system does. So we have to create this plan in accordance with the permit that they issue, and it addresses several many items. The 6 key items are public education, public involvement, illicit discharge, construction activities, long-term stormwater.
Doesn't the water just go west? Why do we care? Oh, south and west? This flows
There
down.
was a study
It
that
just,
said that
it just flows downhill. This darn study, was Amy part of this study? Oh.
This is like way
Continue,
above
Dana.
me.
Keep going.
Construction, long-term stormwater management, and good housekeeping items. The good housekeeping is the city facilities. So what we did, your old stormwater management plan was about 300 pages because Because
I did not write that.
But this actually serves the same purpose. We just don't include all the appendices, but you still have all those appendices, and they're available for the city to use. It's the forms and the permit and just everything that is involved in stormwater management. We kind of took that out of the plan document and just create something a lot simpler. It still meets the permit requirements, but this is your plan, and that there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. So just
what is, I mean, just Mayor, guys, just what's the basic? It gives the Reader's Digest version of that plan. I mean, just we're going to be good stewards of our water. We're going to.
Yeah,
I mean, just
essentially, yes.
Just really try to manage
We won't
the
flood
debris
Plain City and Far West.
It actually has nothing to do with flooding.
Yeah, it's protecting the waterways, right? It's because it flows into the rivers and streams and stuff. Yeah.
But yes,
So we don't have to
basically,
divert it.
we're forcing people to be good stewards and being good stewards ourselves.
So, you know, I know a lot of towns have drains to stream. You know? Do we have any of that around here?
Like curb markers?
Yeah,
that say that?
curb or you know, or information. This drains to stream. I've always wondered.
That is actually, if you hold that question for 2 weeks, I will provide
Oh, great.
information on that.
You know, I do have a concern, and I've voiced this, and it's in the area of focus on page 13, and that's the LID.
It's not.
You know, I'm sorry. The states, feds, they've all done such a great job of everybody taking and holding their storm water that nothing gets out to the lake anymore. And that's the concern I have, because that lake is dying, and I don't know, there's nothing obviously Pleasantview City can do about that, but is there a way to, I don't know.
Mayor, I'm actually working. You asked me to look at that a couple weeks ago, and I'm actually in the middle of preparing a memo to address those things and kind of give you a comparison of how much water, like I'm going to take an example subdivision and say, this is how much water they're being asked to infiltrate, and kind of compare that to maybe how much water they're using on a daily basis just to water their lawns. That's what I'm going to provide you, and I don't know what the results are going to be, quite honestly, but that's what we're working on.
Is, you know, stormwater goes down the gutter. We have a tremendous amount of land drains. Is that considered stormwater, or does that fall in a different category? Because we have water in those sources that flow off the chart, and I don't know what the quantity of that is, but it's got to be huge.
Yes, and
but
actually,
does that all go into the stormwater system?
it does. It merges with the stormwater systems.
Because that is fairly clean water that I wish we could utilize, you know, in other things where, you know, gutter water or whatever is picking up pollutant, soaps, oils off the roads, whatever it is.
And we actually, just to address your point, when we do have a land drain system in a subdivision, it merges with the storm drain system as after the detention and any water quality measures. So it's not being treated further, it's just merging with that treated or detained water. But yeah, it is usually very good water. But on the flip side of things, to go to the LID thing, it's having land drain systems are actually counterintuitive, which I think Tyson brought this up a while ago, that you're creating a drain and you're draining the groundwater and discharging it to the surface and then LID, we're trying to put water into the ground.
Well, see, and that's the, you know, we're all these places that used to be wet that we're building on, we're creating land drains, we're draining those swamps or the wet areas and just piping it out. And you know, I've gone with Tyson or, you know, a few of these guys and just looked at the amount of water that runs down through. I was down with my companies the other day. I mean, it was a river. He wanted to put a little electric pump in there, you know, just because it's just flowing. And it just, you know, we need to cork that bottom. So
I hope it makes its way to the lake, to tell you the Earth.
So it probably is, Mayor.
You think of all the communities that are now, doing the LID, and they're all trying to keep more and more and more water, and then we wonder why the lake's drying up.
Is it recharging the big
I
aquifer?
don't know if anybody really knows. Was my, but
So the idea of the LID, and I'll kind of get into this in 2 weeks when I do your fun and exciting stormwater training that's required by this permit.
Is that in 2 weeks? We won't be, none of us will be here.
Are you at the 23rd meeting?
Yeah. Oh, we are?
I thought we canceled that on, because it wasn't very popular to have it the week of.
We were did too. But.
We didn't count the one. We've been having one after the Christmas.
We are that dedicated. Anyway, continue. Whoa.
Okay. Well, you're gonna tell us a lot more in training.
I am, and I'll go through kind of each of the items. I'll address curb markers and LID and everything. It's already in the presentation. So, but this, like I said, this is just the city's plan to address the requirements of the permit. And if you read through the permit, there are hundreds of requirements, and I don't exaggerate. And
I imagine there is.
It's extremely taxing. And
are we defaulting on any?
We've got Dana and Tyson now.
I can guarantee you every single entity.
But you have to have a plan to work on. I'm fixing it.
Yes.
So we at least meet Pat.
Does this require an action?
So we didn't have it advertised as a public hearing, and that's one of the requirements is to, so that's why we're going to have a public hearing and training and adoption of the actual plan in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Thanks for all your hard work though, Dana.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Dana and Tyson.
I was like, more to come, right?
For hanging out late tonight, Dana.
Could have been later.
Item
This is true.
14, purchase of 2022 HV 613 10-wheeler with full snowplow package in the amount of $219,927.30. Tyson.
Did we just buy you a truck?
Okay, this was in the budget, correct?
This was in the budget.
Or
split up between the 5 different departments, and it's sort of that continuation of what the goal of getting the loader, the mini, trying to get the tools. We've been running those 6-yard up dumps and trying to get materials, and part of the upcoming decant and what we're doing currently that's stormwater related out at that public works facility is hauling out to moldings in 6-yard loads, incredibly inefficient. So
I have one question. Is this in the parking lot?
no, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
It is not here.
Thank you very much for that.
If it was denied, they would just sell it to somebody else.
what was the budget amount?
220. So to keep under, they actually held a lot of the pre-pricing before all their COVID, because they had already bought the body and the equipment, and with all the trucking issues, and they shut down purchasing trucks. They won't build anymore.
Is this gonna have the new wing and everything on it too? Is it gonna be one of those?
There was not enough for the new wing, so I had them set up arrangements to add the wing. Hopefully next budget year if approved. So everything that you could get, that they're not doing any reconstruction on the truck itself. But it's a 12-foot blade, and most of ours are 10. And then there's 211.
How much does that wing cost? What's the cost of that addition?
It was another roughly 30, 40. Yeah, right in there.
So where will it get used in snow removal? I mean, is it?
In front of your house.
I know. I'm just wondering. This is a bigger truck than anything we have to push snow with right now, right?
It's also in prep. So right now, a pup truck, even the wing, you're talking, you do. I think it's a six run pass down even Parkland as it is, and with Rulon coming in and extensions, and that's
So major roads will probably.
Yeah.
So it's bigger than the biggest one we have right now.
Four-wheel drive.
Yeah, no four-wheel drive. So
Really?
it probably won't see a lot of
It's got
it.
8-wheel drive.
Four-wheel drive wings will be on it.
I thought we wanted the four-wheel drive for everything.
Usually it's because they get too light, they can't push it. But
Just put a few more ton on it.
yeah, it's so heavy. If you added four-wheel drive, the cab ended up sitting up in that because this is your bigger 10-wheeler, ended up sitting like 3 feet higher. I don't know. In the new shop, it was pushing the new bigger doors.
All
right. Are we retiring a truck, or do we already have some in the fleet? What's the plan with the fleet? Like, where does that sit?
So with the three, there's 3 currently. The 2001, there's 2 of them, 2 Sanders, and the 1994 I held on to from the last purchase because they were already talking all the trucking shortages and issues with replacement. And then part of that idea is that the 2 CVs that we got, they're the medium duty trucks, and they have the same size blade as the current pups. So the idea is this will be our first test run with the CVs, and if you can get rid of most of your pump size dump trucks, the 6-yard ones, they all but one sits for 80% of the year and you're just sitting on for plowing, and it's just incredibly inefficient. So the idea is if the CVs hold up, and you'll replace out those I don't know what to call them, the medium duty pup trucks, just sit, because we can use those in park streets all year long, where the 6 of our 9 just sit in the parking lot and rot all summer and spring, and they're not usable for hauling. It's cheaper to hire somebody with a real truck to bring you any type of material, and the 10-wheeler would replace that. So a lot of the stuff, even from Parsons, we'll just go pick up our own material when needed, and it opens up some doors that way that the 6 yards aren't efficient enough.
I know, Sean.
So come springtime, as long as everything holds up and those CDs work out, at least the 1994 will go, and most likely the 201 Sanders, they're on their last leg. I think their value is, their cost to repair versus value is long been used up. If either one of those break this year or last year in a significant way, I won't anticipate repairing them.
Okay. I appreciate you working with them to keep it below the budgeted amount, and it's much better than coming and asking for a bunch more money, I think. Good job on that.
Yeah, and that bigger size, it'll still be incredibly useful, and add that at other years.
I was worried. That's the reason I asked the question, is like you said, that the market now is tough, and that's why I was wondering if it was going to be within budget. So I'm glad he was able to work with them and make it happen. So
How long do you expect it to last? I mean, in the plan, are we saying 15?
Oh yeah, if you take care of them, like that 1994, actually, knock on wood, maintenance wise, other than your general mechanical, like its spinner likes to fall off randomly during storms, but sometimes residents bring it in, but
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it'll hold up. This is different than I won't, I guess, name the company names, but the last 2 we purchased, the first one's been in trying to get service and warranty work more than it was out plowing. So this is a whole different setup comparable with what UDOT's run, and I figure you're pretty safe with a system that UDOT runs.
Mayor, I'm gonna pray for snow.
Okay.
Perfect. With that, pray for rain, bring the umbrella. I'm gonna pray for snow. I'm gonna bring the truck.
Yes.
So with this purchase of this truck, we're gonna have a good snow year and good water, right?
Yes, nope,
I'll make
Off
that
to a good
motion.
start. We're off to a good start, so I hope
Yeah,
it keeps
with
adding
water,
on.
with the rain. And
Keeps piling on. I thought Steve hasn't finished his construction project yet.
Shingles go up Saturday. So trusses, this last storm is because it's raining on my trusses right
Yeah,
now.
I think it's supposed to be like super hot on Monday. So. No, I
Hey,
don't.
Tyson, how many public works people do we have to drive trucks this winter with the snow coming?
There might be a spare truck or two, depending on our backups coming in or not.
yeah, with you being down 3 guys.
Yeah, we've
so-
talked about training you, Ann.
I'm ready.
I went to their staff meeting and they joked about me driving, and I'm like, seriously, no.
Don't let
Oh,
Ann in
even
it.
that. Ask the chief. No.
Yeah, it's gonna be a problem.
I'll drive a pickup.
So
Anyway, I'll make that motion.
I'll second
I'll
the motion.
second the motion.
okay,
Sorry, go ahead.
motion by Gibson, second by Marriott.
I would
The
like
first,
to
there's a
have
race.
a ride in it in one of the big snowstorms. So can they?
When is this
Is-
supposed to come? When are you gonna have it delivered?
This one because everybody else, or they stopped making trucks and they didn't have theirs locked in. There's a excess of bodies, so they were talking we might have it by January or so. So a good
Oh.
portion where the last one showed up, I think, the week before those last 2 storms. So
Okay, awesome.
So January.
right in that area.
Sorry.
Okay, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Item 15 is a closed meeting. I don't believe we need one, do we?
No, nothing.
So we don't need item 16, other business. Anybody got really anything pressing they want to cover?
Just a really quick thing, and Steve just brought it up, but if anyone is interested in ride-alongs on the snowplows this year, please let us know. Tyson said he's happy to coordinate that. And then also, if anyone's interested in ride-alongs with police, I know I'm coordinating one of those with the chief that I'm going to be doing, but happy to accommodate those. And those are
Lots of pictures.
Oh, take pictures. I'm happy to do that. Yeah. And so just some options there. I went to the city managers conference last week and they had a big emphasis on staff training. So we're going to be working on implementing some monthly mandatory trainings, just really brief, like 30 minutes, and record them for those that can't come because of the different hours, just to kind of help get everybody up to speed on just good practices and good business practices. So that's coming up. And then next Thursday, we are actually going to be meeting with some property owners from 1000 West on the north side of the street. We've been working on with our property acquisition, getting some of the right-of-way secured eventually to put in the curb and gutter. We don't have the funds all available right now, but we are working toward that. And there's some property owners
Meeting
excited.
with them
Next Thursday. So we're asking that the right of way be donated, and that's confusing to some of them. So that's why the meeting.
So the north part of 1000 West
Mhm.
on the east.
North is
The
part
west-
on the
on
west side.
Yes.
North and west side.
Okay, awesome.
I'm sorry.
North and west.
Don't ask me to give maps or directions. That'll be a mess.
Anything else? Have you reached out to the league on training? The trust.
That's who that's who I'm going to be working with. They actually have some really good trainings. I will say Clearfield presented on cybersecurity and gave some really good ideas with their recent things. There's just a lot of good training opportunities, and I think that the trust is an excellent resource, and we should utilize
Have
that.
safety training,
Mhm,
supervisor
mhm. Safety,
training, sexual
supervisor.
harassment,
Yep, the whole gamut of it. Yep, I'm excited. So.
Are you in a good
Yeah,
spot?
I just have one quick comment before you close it down. Sorry, it's hard to know when to insert yourself when you're on Zoom. Am I good now? Can I go?
Go ahead.
Sorry. Hey, I just know there's a lot of chatter on Facebook about like speeding and some speed enforcement and stuff like that. I don't know if we need to put that down as an item to discuss together in one of these next meetings, or just kind of talk about some things that we can do or how we want to address that. Is that kind of something we should put on a meeting agenda?
Yeah, I think, haven't we talked about it
Slow the
before?
heck down.
Yeah,
Jeez.
everybody teach their kids to slow down and obey the law.
You know,
Easy.
and we have a report. I was talking to two police officers today about it and their experience, especially because they were asked to do some extra patrol there and some other places up on 40, 50, so on and so forth. And they spent like 2 hours sitting there and made 2 traffic stops. Neither one of them were for speeding. The perception is that it's a raceway all day long by a couple of residents, and it's just apparently not the truth. We could do, I don't know if we have the ability to do, because maybe their presence is noted or the word's out, but if we have the ability to, I don't know if they have those traffic things you put across the road that can measure that kind of stuff or anything like that. I don't know if the speed trailer measures that, to report
Yeah, does
that.
our speed trailer have like a data collection ability, or is it just?
The new speed trailer that I'm not totally familiar, but it has a way of storing that information. They said in the cloud, where we can get some kind of a survey with it.
Maybe we can look at that and see what the problem really is, because I think the perception is, at least in our law enforcement, is that there's speeding going on everywhere in every city and everywhere in our city, but it's not to the point what they're blowing it up on Facebook. That don't mean we should ignore it. Definitely don't want to say that. I think we still need to look at it, but I like to base things on facts, not just what's being, put out there on Facebook. So
we just
if we
did a
can get some
50
facts, that would be really good.
We just did a 50-hour grant funded traffic deal in the last 30 days. It was October 7th, November 7th, and had officers doing selective crosswalk school zone speed enforcement. So we're out there, and there were 76 citations written last month for October, and November is even going to be more because of this little traffic blitz we did. So they're out there, and the one that gets by is the one we hear about.
Sure, and I don't want to say there's not people speeding. There is all over the city. I've addressed it almost monthly. I swear, at least half my newsletters and half our newsletters is asking people to slow down. I don't know, and I mentioned this, I think either last meeting or 2 meetings ago, that I read a thing about COVID caused all this speeding. I think we blame everything on COVID. I don't know
I read
why,
that too.
but I read that's in the paper a month ago, and it's like, I'm just sitting there going, because that doesn't make any sense. But I know it is a problem in this state.
Well, I like your comment, Mayor, about like basing things on facts and numbers. So let's see if our trailer will do some of that data collection, because if we can get some data where we're saying it will record how many people are speeding and what times they're speeding and things like that, then we do have some teeth. We have some data to say, no, they're not speeding, or yes, we had 3 cars speeding in a 12-hour period, or I just think if we can do that data collection, let's look into that. Let's see if we've got an ability to do that already.
We'll look into that.
Trailers. Okay, I think that'd be a good idea.
Else, Steve?
You have that paper?
Yeah, I was going to, this one?
Sorry, it got backstopped right here.
So for the council's thing, I really, Woody and Woodruff, he sold his business.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in business there in Pleasantview for 35 years with him. His dad owned it a couple years earlier. He's been a great supporter of the car show for 25 years. And so I want to have we have a little paper we want to sign. Amy's going to make it into a plaque. I would like to do one of the street signs. Sarah's given some good things that we can say. What's your Woody's Way, or
it's just
a street?
No, you just give him as
it's like a Pleasantview street sign.
We've done that for other people in the past, like Woody's Way, something like that you just present as a gift, as a token.
But I want to, depending on when we can get that, and I guess Tyson says probably first week in December, maybe, I don't know, but.
And they're like $90, $70, something like that. Yeah.
But I want to just bring him in, show him our appreciation for all we couldn't do the car show without and he really still wants to do it, even if the Sterling Auto doesn't, but they want to do it as well, but he wants to be involved. But 25 years of the car show is just, and it's gotten bigger and bigger every year. So what are your thoughts? Everybody okay with that?
I had a typo on the document, so I'll have a new one for you on the site next week.
So what would you want the thing to say? Woody's Way or Wood?
Oh, the sign?
Sign car show.
Okay, let me pull up I have a few options.
Woody Lane. No.
I mean, just Woody's and the car. I mean, what can we do? I was going to ask Tyson.
Woodruff Parkway.
This is, I like Woody's Way.
So Woodruff,
good.
let's see, Woodruff Way, Woody's Lane, Woodruff Car
His
Show,
name's not
Woody's
even
Parkway.
Woody. I like Woody's Way. He's known as Woody, and I wonder how many people in the
Woody's
city
Way.
really know
Woody's
his name.
Way.
Woody's Way.
I like Woody's Way.
Woody's
Yeah,
Way. Should
Woody's
we want
Way.
to have a little like where something like car show or a Pleasantview car show or something underneath it?
You could even put a car.
Street.
Just small.
Oh,
I'd like to have
cool.
something representing car show.
Or of the car show. Address of the car
So Woody's Way.
Woody's Way, Pleasantview,
Pleasantview
or
Car
Founder's
Show.
Day Car Show.
Yeah.
Let's see what you can work with Steve on that to get the final one.
Anyway, thank you.
We trust you, Steve. Get something neat for us. Man.
Done.
Just don't
And
trust
we'll-
me. I'm
we'll do
full of
this-
typos today.
We'll do this next week when we do the canvas. I just want to remind everybody, we do have a meeting next week. Canvas the election is required by law. And then December 10th is our holiday celebration at my house.
Do you give
And
assignments for that? Or do we?
we'll probably need to, I don't know if we need to decide quite yet, but
Okay.
we'll probably need to decide maybe next week or something. Anything else?
We're having a work session after.
Thanks.
So the
Yes,
20
all work session.
10.
What?
Next week, yes.
Next week.
All
work
the-
session after the canvas.
Yes.
Yeah.
So and we'll know
After
more
You should have
information
this in your packet.
for the Tri-City Exchange for the Thanksgiving dinner
Yes.
to deliver. Mike's just getting the numbers and getting all the information he'll get with us. That will be the week of Thanksgiving, like Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like what we did last year.
And we are apparently we are having a city council meeting on the,
23rd?
Are we?
23rd?
Second,
Is
actually.
there stuff pending? Oh, that's right. Dana
Well,
will
and
bring pie. Dana will bring pie. Or we'll bring pie.
We'll bring pie.
We'll bring pie.
All right, we'll plan
We
on
might
that
know a
then.
pie guy.
Also, Detective Bill Ashleman's last day is this Friday, and our thanks to him for all he's done. I thought it was a week from Friday, but it's this Friday. And we had a little something planned for him that we won't get off the ground before he leaves, but he said he will stop back for it.
Is
Okay.
he retiring or going somewhere else?
He got a good paying job with America First that
Oh,
doesn't have all the hassles of law enforcement.
he is a good.
He's
But
a-
he's kind of retiring.
Yeah, he's retiring. He's doing a
Public
state
safety.
retirement, but he's
He's got us
staying in the
20 years
workplace.
in. Okay, great. Well, wish him well. Will you let me know when that is? I'd like to come and say goodbye to him, or do you want me to just?
I'll let you know. I didn't even know today. I had it down as the 21st and found out the 12th. I guess I'm dyslexic.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
See you, Ann.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Certainly try to remember.
Better.
No promise.
Better.
I will.
Thanks, Eric.
I thought the adorable housing was bad. I did this.
I just really like him. You know who he's in last night?
Who, what?
Yeah, we'll have to hire.
Clubhouse, Paul,
Well, I hope because
right next to
Harrisville said they got.
I can go
That's his in-laws.
the door.
Eshelman, that's retired.
Yeah, so we'll get on it.
He's a manager over at America First.
Oh, I know Kristen. Yeah, I know.
I
That's Bill's
love
wife.
Bill. He's one of the best.
Huh.
officers.
Oh, yes.
So good.
Me neither. Oh, wait, maybe I have.
Good night, everybody.
We don't have a meeting tomorrow, do we?
Relight. I was checking my phone. I was good.
You mean last night?
I guess you texted me to stop by, but I'm
It
aware of that
kinda-
situation.
Yeah, I'm sure it sounds like you have more context than I did, so.
So, I mean, I was doing good till noon, then all of a sudden, nothing, and I looked at my phone tonight.
Smart to turn off your phone. I should have turned mine off.
Well, I didn't mean to.
I know you're trying to avoid me.
Did not do 11.
Thank you.
And we did not do, yes, we did do the west. See you later. Okay. See ya. Glad you're walking.
Yes. How's Christy doing?
Oh, she's out.
I love Christy. I saw her out talking with Zella. I was driving by.
Okay.
For a long time.
Oh, yeah, those two together. That's a bad combination. Which two?
She's gonna be
They
so
don't
proud.
even have a meeting and they have a meeting.
She's amazing.
So when?
Love her. Yeah.
Can we bring him in?
This time we won't be able to. So let's have him come that first meeting in December. Yeah. I like Woody's way and then. Okay. Yeah, I think our show.
Do you want that?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He's probably got
So she has a certificate. If you want that wording when you.
Thank you so much.
Almost done with my bringing my bull barn.
Oh, really? Taking one day off?
Oh, and Thursday's a holiday.
Oh, that's right.
Everything's
I love how I'm doing it right now. It's, my other one's such a mess compared to this one. So.
No, this. And I just wanted to scream and deal.
No, I remember when his place was right there.